Hello, the court, juror, judge, and my class and instructor. My name is Corey Dram, and this is my final presentation, which involves my police report and my suspect report. Now, as I get into the case, the scenario: you were called upon a 209 Westbridge Street for a possible murder. You arrive at the scene to find a hysterical woman, Jean Corliss, claiming that her husband, who is Tom Corliss, was missing and is possibly murdered. She is covered in blood. The door to the house is wide open. She says the house is ransacked and there's blood all over the master bedroom. She said she drove into the driveway and thought she saw Mike McMahon, the neighbor 3 doors down, leaving the house. Her small son, John, is home and in the house. Now, there's a couple witnesses here. One, it would start with Jean Corliss. Two, her son. And this crime would first start off with breaking entry, because apparently she's seen the suspect, Mike McMahon. She's seen him leaving the house. So we had to go off of a breaking and entry, and this could turn into a possible murder because one, Tom is missing, and two, there's blood all over the place, and we're wondering whose blood this is. The crime was located at 209 West Bridge Street. It was a residence, not a business, and the date was February 8th. The time of the crime was 8:27, and this occurred between 8:27 and 9 o'clock. The victim, which was Tom Corliss, and his residence is at the crime scene, the 209 Westbridge Street, and this occurred at 8:27. His date of birth was November 12th, 1980. He's a male, and his race is white. This time occurred around 8:27, as we said above, and the witness was Jean Corliss. 209 Westbridge Street, her address was, and her date of birth is 8/17/1982. She's a female, and her race is white. Her phone number is below for contact information, which is 810-939-3939, and she does not have a business name or address because she is a stay-home mom. And as we go below and talk about the son, which was John, which we would wonder why wasn't he interviewed, and we need to bring him in for questioning since he was home, and maybe he knows more than what we know about. So as we get down to the vehicle, there was no vehicle in this crime scene. There was a witness to the crime. A suspect has been located, which there could possibly be in a scenario more than one suspect. And our suspect was described, which if we go to our suspect report explains that Mike McMahon, his date of birth was 1981. He's a male and his race was white. He doesn't really have a as known as name besides his own. He's 5'10", and he weighs 172 pounds. We found out that his driver's license is 29AJ02020202, and his social security 393392002, according to the suspect report. We got a pretty known description of him, you could say, from our police report. If we go and look at the scenario, Mike, he was a neighbor. We really don't know much about him besides that Jean Corliss said that he was leaving the house. And from what we know, that information on him, that he possibly could, have a straight haircut. We are unknown if he's armed or not, but there's possible blood on the scenario, which this could mean that either A, he has some sort of weapon, or B, maybe he was just going over there because he heard a disturbance. But as we found out, the Jean Corliss told us that he was in the house, so we ended up bringing Mike McMahon in and ended up questioning him. So as we go to the interrogation, Mike was identified as a local neighbor. I end up using the method of interrogation that, it's already in the book. It's very old, but manipulating, telling the suspect that I know he was lying. And the steps I used during my interrogation was more or less a very simple process, in which involved sitting the suspect down in a room and asking them what they did and why they did that night. Eventually during this process, our suspect begins to crumble, and the negative effects during this interrogation is overstepping boundaries, which you don't want to do. That's the number one important thing. Technology that we tried using during this interrogation was a polygraph and forensic science in the lab. That's very important, which there was blood at the scene, so we figured we could use that during our possible interrogation. The interview techniques were pretty simple, like I said. I ended up using the oldest one in the book. And my most important ethical principle is you really don't want to overstep boundaries. That's very important. So, other than that, I interviewed my case. I showed in my case court. And we ended up getting the suspect, Mike McMahon, for the missing person, Tom. Here's my police report. Scroll down. Here is my... Oh, that was my... Here we go. Here's my suspect report. Okay, here's my presentation. I appreciate everyone looking at it. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.